Okay, so today's video is going to be a little different. We're going to take a little bit of a nosedive into the behind the scenes of recording a video. Now, what I mean by that is we're not going to go into the ninicky and finickies of all of it all. We're not going to go into what I use to record and the equipment I use or anything down that line. I just want to show you something that us PDCGO YouTubers can probably experience. Now, I say probably because this is something that I experience from recording videos. I don't want to speak for anyone else. But today I decided, you know what? I want to do a video on Decidueye VSTAR. Now, Decidueye VSTAR came out in the brand new Astral Radiant set and was one of many of the V-Stars that came out, and of course is a deck that I'm going to cover early on because it's a new card. PDCGO YouTubers always cover the new cards because obviously that's what people want to see. It generates views and you can get some good content. At the end of the day, it's a win-win. So I was like, okay, I'm going to tackle Decidueye VSTAR today. So I constructed a deck that I thought was pretty solid. The deck contained a barrel in there, of course, the barrel engine being my favorite engine in the format. Decidueye, Elder Goss, a Moltres V in there, and some other little cards here that could be thrown into the deck, the likes of Grant and stuff like that. And with the Moltres V, I also threw in there some Darkness energies to allow us to be discarded with the attack on Decidueye VSTAR, which by the way did 160 plus 30 if you discard up to 3 energy cards in your hand, 30 for each energy card discarded in that way. And of course, Moltres are able to pick up energy from the discard pile. Overall, it was a very synergistic deck, right? It did make sense. And the list, I thought, during testing and just on paper, looked like it was going to work. I've played so many decks in my lifetime. I've played this game for about 4 years, making content for about 3 of those 4 years. I know what makes a good deck nowadays, okay? Now, granted, I'm not the best deck builder out there by a long shot. My gosh, I am nowhere near, but I know how it functions. I know the game well enough. So I looked at this deck and thought, okay, do you know what? That's fine. That's pretty solid. Let's go and record a video on it. And then it just didn't. It just didn't work. I played 3 games and each of them were just awful. The first game I played was against a Whimsicott VSTAR. Now, Whimsicott VSTAR is a very, very popular deck in the format, coming in the finals of one of the most recent regional championships. So, of course, we're going to see it on the ladder. However, during testing, I didn't come up against this deck once, and I haven't come up against this deck for a pretty solid amount of time. Except now, when I play the deck, that it's going to absolutely destroy immediately. Now, that's nothing crazy. That happens quite a lot to me, I think, and that's a whole story in and of itself. And I think many other people have the same issue, so it's not one I can exclusively moan about. So I thought, okay, we'll try it out. No, of course, we lost pretty quickly. Let's just go for another one. This time we came up against a single strike deck that I thought, okay, this is a better off matchup for us. This is something that can actually allow us to show the deck. We have time to set up. We ain't got to worry about a crazy weakness disadvantage that we had. This is going to be a good one. And what ended up happening is even with the likes of Bibarrel, Decidueye VSTAR's ability, and even a supporter card, I dug through, I could say, well, probably was half my deck, and I just needed a double turbo energy, which we play 4 of in the deck. I didn't find it. Again, a little bit frustrating. And also a little bit unrealistic. That's not something that's going to happen. It will happen. Of course, it will happen. But the odds of that happening, again, during recording, was so frustrating. So first game, I'm like, right, okay, there's a bad weakness advantage. We're going to lose. We lost. And it wasn't entertaining either. Second matchup, I had to dig through half my deck to find one card that I needed to keep me in the game. Otherwise, I pretty much would have lost. And again, I didn't find it. So I'm sitting there going, okay, it's just a bad run of games. Keep going. So we got into the third game of the video, which was against Darkrai VSTAR. Now, Darkrai VSTAR, people are sitting there. There's a bit of a debate as to how good Arceus is incredible. Darkrai VSTAR is, but regardless, it is a good deck. And I thought, you know what? Still, this plays Dark Pokemon. We don't have to worry about weakness again. It's fine. We just got to keep up to speed with it. That didn't happen. Again, we got ourselves in a dead drawing situation and they just got a very, very quick and early KO on the only Decidueye I had in play. And that's just, again, the way the game works. When you get ahead that quickly, there's no chance of recovery. So I thought, okay, that's another one. 3 in the row that quickly during recording. I was like, oh my God, okay. Obviously, you viewers, people who enjoy this content can't see that. Right now, there is a lot of people saying online, oh, PDCGO content creators just post wins. They don't post their losses. They just post wins to try and make the deck look really good. Now, granted, I understand the argument, but let me point one thing out. We need to be entertaining. We are YouTubers ultimately, okay? We're not not out here and testing and testing and testing and testing decks to perfection to go and win a regionals with. We're not doing that. We're playing a different deck every single day, some of us. We need to be entertaining. Now, that's not me sitting here defending those who do just post wins and don't post losses for the sole purpose of trying to make a deck look better than it is in order to mislead people into actually committing to the deck, which, by the way, really doesn't tend to work out. You know, if a deck isn't found to be good, people won't play it and it won't have an impact on the format anyway. People will just play it at one time and go, yeah, it's not as good as it's made out to be. Oh, well, get on with it. But most importantly, that aside, people mainly post wins because it's entertaining. You see how the deck functions, which is the point of the video, by the way. Bearing in mind, people click on the video to see how the deck works. So usually seeing a win allows you to showcase how the deck works. And of course, winning is more enjoyable to watch than losing. That applies to everything. Absolutely everything. Now, granted, I really shouldn't be defending it, I guess, because I don't do that. I myself do post losses, right? I think there's still a value in watching someone lose because you can see how they react to losing, which can be entertaining in and of itself. They could still have been able to show off what the deck can do. And funnily enough, actually show some of the flaws that a viewer can take upon themselves to try and improve if they do take the deck on themselves. And it's a more honest portrayal of the deck, obviously. You're showing the deck in a way that not only can it win, but you can showcase how it can lose too. So personally, I don't do it, but I understand why people only post wins on some decks. So I'm sitting here losing 3 games in a row in an unentertaining, is that a word? I'm going to use it for lack of a better term, in an unentertaining manner that would just disadvantages, missing some draws, really critical draws on both of them, and also just being a bit too slow. So I'm now sitting here going, right, I can't upload this video. I stopped recording. I was furious. I was like, I cannot upload this video because even though I'm sure you, my viewers, wouldn't mind, because I know a lot of you watch me for my decks, but also a lot of you watch me for just the entertainment part of it that I can bring to it, which I'm really glad that you find me entertaining. With that said, it wasn't something I was satisfied with uploading because I'm sorry, but losing 3 games in a row without even having the chance to actually play is not entertaining. So I was like, okay, do you know what? We're going to tweak the deck. We're going to rebuild it a little bit to a degree. Not too much, but we'll just rebuild it to a degree and we'll see how it goes again. So I rebuilt the deck. This time we're cutting the barrel engine. We're just having a bit more of a turbo-like focus in the deck. We got Luminions. We had Crobat Vs in the deck. We had Energy Lotto in there just to really help us dig for that turbo because that's such a big problem I was having. And we had a lot more Pokemon Search just to really get things out and moving. And even more draw supporters. So I thought, okay, this is probably a much quicker and better way to go. Let's try and record this deck instead. So we started recording and came up against a Cramorant's deck, which is not a deck you typically see, and in and of itself was a sign of where my elo was dropping by just failing so many times with this deck. But granted, we was able to get the win and it was functioning in a way that I expected it to. A lot quicker and a lot more consistent. And then we played another game against a Mimikyu VMAX deck. Again, another very solid game. I thought, okay, that went pretty well. And we were able to, funnily enough, take the dub. So the deck was actually working in a way that I thought, hey, this is pretty good. Let's keep going. Oh, then do we come up against a mirror matchup. And that's when it opened my eyes a little bit. They were popping off. I mean, they were getting everything they needed every single turn. And that's not a complaint on my part. Their deck was built very well. They had some cards in there that I was like, oh my god, why didn't I do that? They had Radiant Hawlucha, which I did consider putting in the deck, but actually cut it for Radiant Greninja, which I forgot to put in the deck anyway. And then they've also included a Zamazenta V, which allows the fighting Pokemon to take 20 less damage for your opponent's attacks, effectively buffing that Decidueye from 270 to 290 HP, a very relevant number in the format, because a lot of people and a lot of cards and a lot of decks want to hit 280 because of Arceus. This fella weren't playing no Elder Goss. This fella weren't doing nothing like that. He was just going straight big barrel, Decidueyes, all that kind of good stuff, and was dominating me. And then I just gave up. I had one thought in my mind, which was one I don't think I've ever had making PTCGO content. What is the point? What is the point when there are people out there who can just do it so much better all of the time? I've spent about an hour and a half of my life trying to record videos and change up a deck to only come up against one in the very end, which showed me up in a way that I never expected. I was genuinely embarrassed. I was like, wow, I make videos every day building decks. People like my decks. I take pride in my decks, and I got shown up like that. I instantaneously lost all the motivation to continue recording with that deck, and almost lost all motivation to just do YouTube in that one video. Now you might think that was a bit of an overreaction, Sean. You lost one game to a deck that did better than you. You don't know. You didn't play it in a best of 3. It was just one game. Maybe it just didn't turn out in your favor. But to record and fail for an hour and a half, 2 hours or something down that line, it's been a while, to then get shown up like that makes you feel like you've just wasted all of your time. And the time you put into your video was completely pointless and you're better off just not doing it. Combine that with the frustration of trying to make it work in the first place. It was like a big middle finger, a big spit in the face to me as a content creator. Oh, you spent so long trying to make this deck work. Look at me. This works fantastic. And you have just spent so much time trying to make it work. I'm just gonna show you up. There you go. You're an idiot. And that was how I felt. And I was like, okay, that kind of sucks. And that kind of motivated me to make this video. Sometimes it doesn't go well in life, man. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes it just stops working for you. Sometimes you just take L after L after L. And that's when it's a sign for you to take a step back, breathe, and leave it be. But not leave it be permanently. Just take a breather. Come back into it better. Learn from it and grow. And I thought, you know what? I'm gonna make this video that I'm making now instead. One where you get a little bit of insights into recording videos and how sometimes it can fail. And not only that, how you can apply it to life in general. Yes, it's corny. Yes, it's a bit cliche, but it's true. And through that, I was very quickly able to catch myself out and go, wow, that sucked. But you know what? It happens. And sometimes you can even take something away from that and turn it into something that is a learning experience, not just for yourself, but for others, which is this very video. So with this video, I hope you can learn that not just in something like the Pokemon trading card game online, which is trivial to some, that in any circumstance, in any form of life, sometimes you just take constant losses and you can turn them into something valuable for you to bring forward into the future and not only make your own life better, but other people's too. Now, I understand this is the video that you was not expecting to come from this, but I hope you can learn from it in one way or another. But with that said, we'll be back to the usual stuff tomorrow. I'm never, ever touching that Decidueye deck again in my life, but we'll be back with some fun, some goose, some gaffs in the future. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.